Hey, welcome back, everybody, to HVAC Success Secrets Revealed, live from the Women in HVACR event down in lovely Phoenix. Today, we are joined. Oh, fuck.
You're almost there.
Almost there.
Keep going.
Today, we are joined by Ben Poole with HVAC Tactical. And in case you're wondering what is HVAC Tactical, it is more than a brand. It's a lifestyle. It's a mindset. He's got some big things for the industry. He also has something called the HVAC Tactical Awards. And you're probably wondering, what the fuck are the HVAC Tactical Awards? We will get into that today because I asked him the same question. And his short answer was it's like the Emmys for the HVAC. And we're going to dive into all things that. But my first question for you, Ben. How do you handle sleazy marketers messaging you on Facebook?
Well, I look them square in the windows of their soul and I say, Thaddeus.
So backstory on that. That's how I slid into his DMs once, asking him a question. It wasn't the traditional, can you handle 2 to 3 more installs per week? I think it was just like, hey, where are you based out of? And then I hit him up on Instagram. And he's like, you just messaged me on my personal page and you just messaged my business page and you took a screenshot and sent it. I'm like, well, I can't blame the guy for trying. And here we are.
Fortune's in the follow-up.
Yeah, fortune's in the follow-up.
You're aggressive.
But hey, I never asked you once, could you handle more installs?
No, because I knew where I kept diverting.
Well, to see, the sales guy was trying to throw some sales curveballs into it. So anyways, let's talk about HVAC Tactical. Run us through what it's all about and what it is.
HVAC Tactical is essentially, a clothing brand that we started just because we thought it would be cool to let guys wear something that represented what they did so passionately for a living and look kind of cool doing it, right? As opposed to wearing like something that's brand specific, like a Carrier hat or a Lennox hat. Not that there's anything wrong with any of that. It's just, if you're a Carrier guy, you're never going to wear a Lennox hat. If you're a Diversitech fan, you'll never wear a Rector Seal hat, right? So there's kind of like this huge gap that needed to be kind of bridged. And we just thought it would be cool to launch something and kind of bridge that gap. And out of that, it just spawned into this thing, right? Where people just wanted to be part of something that was bigger than themselves, part of something that's growing to be something really epic in the industry. And so out of the HVAC Tactical brand, we launched the HVAC Tactical Awards, which you already mentioned is, very similar to, like, the easiest way for me to describe it is it's the Emmys for HVAC. Right. And people usually follow up with like, oh, that's cool, with this really confused look. and
kind of like the deer in headlights look I gave you when you said it. Yeah.
So basically we're just trying to recognize the individuals in the trenches that are actually out there doing the work for being masters of their craft, for giving back to the HVAC community, right? For being a leader in the industry, for having a great podcast, right? Being a good influencer on social media, because right now social media is just this thing where now all these major companies like Diversitech and Rapid Locking Systems and Supco, like you have all these companies, they're now going, hey, look, traditional style advertising and marketing is kind of quickly becoming outdated, right? Like we need to jump on the bandwagon, get influencers on our side to continue to grow our brand. And so now you're seeing these major corporations utilizing the social media and influencer platforms to push their brands. Mm-hmm. So we're just trying to create something that's just completely out of the box. It's never really been done. And what you're starting to see now, after we did our show in Vegas and it was such a success, you're starting to see all these other people start to pivot and try to figure out ways to come up with their own types of awards and start to recognize the end users. Because if you look at any awards that really are given out in our industry at all, it's usually for sales. Right. You sold the most air conditioners that have inverters in them. Okay, that's cool. So what? You know what I mean? You sold the most air purifiers. Okay, that's cool. So what? So you don't ever hear anybody going, dude, you have the cleanest looking install I've ever seen. Here's an award for that. Absolutely. You've made a positive impact on all of these youngsters coming up in the trade. Here's an award for that. You know what I mean? Look at all you guys know how hard it is to put podcasts on. Mm-hmm. So what about all those hours you guys spent doing podcasts? How good is the content, right? you guys making strides with that? Like, hey, great podcast. Here's an award for that.
Totally.
I mean, just trying to recognize people, man. And I think that people want to be recognized.
Right.
And I think when you do that, it just empowers people to level up and take themselves and their careers to the next level. And that's what's going to make our industry great.
Well, we look at example last night, at the award, the banquet for women in HVACR, and having some of those awards for, the woman of the year within the organization. Like, what an honor to have that. The scholarship winners, what an honor to have that. People just like having that pat on the back. You are right, majority of times it's sales organizations, because that's something that's like, I guess, measurable in a sense, but there's a lot of other things that you can do. And when you create this, again, I think the key takeaway for me for this entire weekend has been this tribe, this village idea, that it takes a village to be able to continue to do it and to help and support. And this is one way to be able to continue to do that.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I've spent my entire career in this industry on the contracting side. So, from starting as a kid, cleaning my dad's shop, sheet metal shop, and going into the service, going into install, going into management, going as an owner. Like, I've been through the ringer on all this stuff. And so I've spent my entire career in this business really going to bat for the consumer of the industry, right? The people at the end buying the product. And I'm ready to turn the page and open a new chapter and go to bat spend the remaining part of my career in this industry going to bat for the people in the trenches, for the actual contractors, for the people who, I mean, I'm blue collar, man, my brothers and sisters, you know what I mean? And so I'm just trying to make that pivot now. And I want to try to take tactical more of a full-time role if I can. And, come into events like this and, or not hosting, but emceeing the gala event last night. Like, that was awesome.
Mhm. You did a great job.
Some people laughed at my jokes. Some people did.
The guys in the back of the room.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just, I want to serve the industry. I just want to do it in a different way that I've been doing it.
Right. Looking at serving, and you mentioned the thing about social media influencers, and I know right now it's a hot topic in Facebook with the gurus, and I use air quotes on that. I'm not singling anybody, by the way, when I'm talking about this. This is just a generalized topic. What are some ways in looking at social media and in influencing and within the industry of some things that people should be doing different or be doing better to be able to be this role model within the industry?
Well, with any influence in this industry on social media, you have to have followers. I mean, that's just a given, right? And it's become this thing where it's just like, well, I got more followers than him. It's just like, okay, let's slow that roll down for a second, right? Like, that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're all a community, right? And if you're on Facebook, is pretty dicey. I mean, I don't care for Facebook and I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. If you see me post like on the tactical side to Facebook, it's because it gets trickled over automatically from Instagram. Like, I live on Instagram, and most of our influencers in this industry live on Instagram. And then you have, kind of the top tier video guys like Zach Desjardins and not just faces in Craig, AC Tech.
Yep.
We got Brian Orr. Like, you got these YouTube channels that are just freaking massive. Chris Stevens, HVACR videos. I mean, you got these platforms on YouTube. So we have, the Instagram, and then we have the YouTube. And I would say those are probably the biggest platforms when it comes to HVAC. Facebook is really just like super negative, like, somebody's like, hey, I genuinely need help. I got a question. And then you'll get the next comments like, you're the most dumb MF I've ever heard.
You can say motherfucker. It's okay.
and it's like, your mother should have never birthed you. You should know what superheat is. And it's just like,
yeah,
really, dude? Like, this guy's genuinely asking for help, and you guys are just beating him up,
Right.
And on Instagram, you don't get that. You'll get somebody who will maybe not call you out in the comments and just direct message you and say, hey, look, man, you should probably do this a different way, and this is why. And then, and some people receive that well, and others may not, but I just feel like there's just a tighter community on Instagram than there is on any other platform. So yeah, so I think that followers play a role for sure. But we're a community, and we're always going to help each other. But if you're a douchebag, like, nobody's going to help you, dude. You're going to be out there rowing by yourself. You know what I mean? But if you look at like Instagram, like all of us, we're all rolling together. We're rowing the boat together, and it's only throttling us further faster. So yeah, that's kind of the key to becoming kind of an influencer on social media, you got to plug yourself in. You got to start building relationships. And guys, building relationships, like that's 101 for everything in life.
Right.
Things get done in life because you build relationships with people.
Yep.
And when you build those relationships, genuine relationships, you got to leverage those relationships down the road for whatever it is you're trying to do in life. And if they're genuine relationships, then they will genuinely want to help you do whatever it is that you want to do. So that's my spiel.
No, 100%. And that's, people often overlook or overthink what it is to succeed on social media. And like, how do I become an influencer? How do I develop a following? How do I connect with people? And it's relationships. That's all it is. They're people. It's just a different way of communicating. Right. And I think oftentimes as a business, we try to overcomplicate things, and genius is not taking the simple and making it super complicated. It's taking the complicated and make it super simple.
Yeah. Well, they'll act like KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. I mean, that's like a basic universal law.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Simple is better.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy. Simple is better.
Well, and when you look at the content that a lot of these guys are putting out, you know, Greg Fox being another one with a great YouTube channel, it's not creating content. It's documenting what's already being done. You're already putting in a condenser. Talk about it, right? Talk about how to do it, what you're doing, why you're doing it. That's it. That's content, right? Document, don't create.
That's good. It's good stuff.
I've loved a lot of your content that you're putting out because it's a lot about, similar to what you've been talking about already, elevating everyone, bringing the industry up together. I just watched one of your pieces of content from, I think it was last week, talking about no excuses, right? The reason that you're going to be successful is because of you. The reason that you're going to fail is because of you, right? I love the Dave Ramsey quote, "The problem with my money is the idiot that I shave with every morning."
Yeah.
Right. Why is it that you've taken that approach in terms of wanting to elevate everyone and bring everyone up and speaking to things that you would normally only hear in like the self-help type community and bringing that into HVAC?
Well, I'm third generation in this business, and excuse me. And it wasn't until, geez Louise, it wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I decided I wanted to take this industry seriously. And by doing that, I was kind of like, I need to go back and I need to train. I need to go back and I need to educate myself, because I was taught a lot of rules of thumb in this business, you know? And as I got older, thank you so much. And as I started kind of realizing, going back and training, and what I started realizing was that I really didn't know anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I was kind of dumbfounded of how much I didn't know. Right. And the more I learned, the more I realized how much I didn't know. And then you sit down, and even in my point in my career now, like, I'm pretty good at what I do. You know what I mean? I know a lot, but then I sit down and I listen to people like Gary McCready, and I listen to people like Brian Orr, and I'm just like, I don't know nothing, you know, like these guys are the smartest guys in the room, you know? And so my whole thing is I've just learned over the years that you are the only person that's holding you back. Right. And we have to get over this. And it sounds so cliche, because everywhere you go for self-help or seminars or whatever, they're like, get out of your own mind, you know? But what you really got to do is you got to be able to break it down to a point where that individual that you're speaking to can understand what it is that you're talking about, right? What the hell are you talking about? And a lot of people, it just goes right over their head. And so I say that, you know, you really have to have an open mind. You have to be able to not just hear, but you have to be able to understand. Hearing and understanding are two completely different things. And so once you understand things, the light bulb goes off and it just makes sense. It's like when you were learning math or something in school, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I get it. Right.
Yep.
And now you know the formula of how to crack that problem every time you come across it. And everything else in life is no different than that. No different at all. Right. Oh, I get it. Once you understand it, you just apply that principle and you just keep on trucking. So my whole thing is, I love this industry. I'm passionate about this industry.
I can't tell, but
I love the people in this industry, and I just want to see this industry throttle forward, because I truly feel like our industry is still so far behind of where it truly could be, because our industry really doesn't take leaps and bounds until, you know, the government comes in and goes, hey guys, we need to bump up another half a SEER. Okay. You know, it's just like, and then the manufacturer's like, well, we've been working on something for like 15 years. Yeah, I think we could, about time to roll that out. It's like, why didn't you roll that out 15 years ago? You know? And in their own defense, like, our industry is so just like they're just so like pushback on change, right?
Yep.
I don't know why we're that way, but human beings don't like change,
Right.
And so I think that change is definitely coming, and it's very uncomfortable. These last couple of years have been very uncomfortable, and the whole new efficiency change, refrigerant change, like all this stuff that's coming down the pipeline, it's different,
Yep.
and yeah, so I just want to see the industry throttle, and as from a contractor side, like I'm just tired, and people know my pain.
Right.
But yeah, I want to see the industry do better. And I think that we can do better. And I think if we roll together in stride and push together, we can there's power in numbers, right?
Mhm.
We can make some awesome things happen.
Right.
So yeah,
So when you look at what is coming down the pipeline with these changes that are coming with regulations, as an HVAC owner, how can I get in front of it and be disruptive in my market by being innovative?
well, first of all, you got to go train. You got to go
Mhm.
educate yourself, right? And I think a huge problem in our industry is just lack of education.
Mhm.
A lot of guys, well, I've been doing this for 30 years. That's the one liner for me, dude, that I'm just like,
Right.
stop.
Yep.
The fact that you have to validate what you just said by saying that you've been doing this for 30 years, that's the problem,
Right.
And because I've been there, right?
Right.
I've done that.
Yep.
I always do it like this because I've been doing it forever this way. Okay. Well, that just doesn't make any sense, right? Like
Yep.
there's always a better way to do something. And it doesn't mean that it has to be more complicated, right?
Mhm.
Maybe it needs to be more simple,
Right.
But yeah, you got to go educate yourself. And then from there, you can go, I think I have a better way of doing this. It's going to save time. It's going to be more efficient. It's still going to get it done in the same way. And then you just innovate from there, right?
Mhm.
It's hard for me to tell you like how to innovate because everybody has their own ways of innovating, right?
Mhm.
And I think that each and every one of us, we all have our own creativity, right?
Right.
And so back in the day, I used to be into music, and as an artist, like I would walk into a studio and they were like, well, what do you want to do? And I go, you do you.
Right.
I don't want to stomp your creativity, right? Because when you do you and then I do me on top of that, like it's going to be magic,
Right.
right? And I think every industry is that way.
Mhm.
And so HVAC's no different. So, figure out what works best for you. Just make sure that the job is being done in the right way,
Right.
but put your own spin on it and be different. I always tell people, look, just be different and unique in every way, as many ways as you can, because if you're not any different than your competitor down the street, then why
Mhm.
would somebody want to use you?
Right.
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 So,
Well, and that's where when you look at marketing, what is everyone selling? Oh, we got great customer service.
Yeah.
Right.
what is that?
Exactly. Right.
What is that? Yeah, I
Drives
always
me
just
nuts.
say, you're not selling air conditioning. If you're
Mhm.
walking into a home and you're selling air conditioning, you're doing the game completely wrong.
Right.
You need to
Mhm.
be selling yourself,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
That's essentially what people are buying.
The surface.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and you look at how to do that. Something actually you mentioned earlier is the people. And you talked like, hey, you've been on the contractor side. It's just been about the customer, and now you're wanting to change it and go about the actual people that in the industry itself. And that's how you can also market yourself to be different. When you have a great culture and you care about your people and you reward them and you do all these things that we've been talking about over the last couple of days and on our podcast for 2 years, right? You start to put that in there. That's how you become different. The other part of that, like you said, be unique is why don't you just hire unique people?
Right.
Right? Hire weird. I mean, not like weird, but you know what I mean, right? And so,
Like the band last night.
yeah, you're the band. That was a phenomenal
Show
band
up
last
on
night.
stilts.
Fuck
That's it, yeah.
That guy dancing on stilts was a better dancer on stilts than I am on my own 2 feet. And I was like, Jesus Christ. But that's the thing is like you can hire unique, you can hire different, and that's how you're going to be able to segregate and differentiate yourself in the market.
Well, there's never been a better time in history to hire weird people. I mean,
Right?
Yep.
yeah, world's full of weird people.
But good weird. Well, as we come up to the 20-minute mark, if anybody wants to find out a little bit more about HVAC Tactical, it's HVACtactical.com is their web address. Give them a look on there. You can also look them up on Instagram, HVAC Tactical. Just searching on IG and it pops up. I did that, and turns out I already follow you, but you already knew that because I sent you a message on there.
On all three of my accounts.
On all 3 of your accounts, yes. And hey, here we are. We're having a podcast, right? So as we wrap up, we have one final question here for you, Ben. What is one question that you wished people would ask you more, but don't?
Ooh, wow! Wish you would have gave me that question before we started.
Oh no, that's always the juice at the end.
I will tell you this: the recent events in my life I had somebody ask me this not that long ago, and I was talking in front of like a little school, right? They were teaching HVAC, and they said, "What's your biggest regret in this industry?"
Mm.
And without hesitation, I said, "My biggest regret in this industry is putting my entrepreneurship and my companies over my family."
Mm.
So it's super easy. For years, I would always say that this industry will drive you to drinking, this industry will drive you to divorce, and this industry will drive you to drugs, right? For years, I've always said that because I've seen the patterns. It's just over and over and over. Through things that I've gone through in my own personal life, this year specifically, I've realized that it is not the industry that does that. 100% it is not. It's the decisions that you as an individual make in this industry that does that. And you have total control of everything that happens in your life. Well, maybe not total control, right? But you have a majority of control.
Mhm.
And a lot of that it all boils down to the decisions that you make.
Right.
What's important to you, what you spend your money on is what's important to you. What you invest your time in is what's important to you. And so anybody out there who's maybe struggling with the family life and trying to balance work, I would tell you that yes, work is important. You got to put food on the table. But at the end of the day, when shit hits the fan and you got nothing left and your company crumbles, is your family home when you walk through that door? That's what's really important. you
Right.
know?
Well, and you hear the old stories all the time. What's one of the number one regrets of people on their deathbed? I wish I spent more time at the office.
Yeah.
It's I wish I spent more time with my family.
Yeah, I should have
Right.
done
Right.
one more
Oh, I should-
install.
Right. They don't ever say that. I said, I wish I would have went to one more baseball game or one more hockey game or football or figure skating or dance or whatever it is. One more vacation, one more weekend.
Yep.
That's what people.
Hearing it and understanding it,
Yes.
two completely different
Oh,
things.
very. There was an exercise I did 2008. I was young in sales, selling Cutco knives, and I was away at a conference. They posed the question. You're at the doctor's office. You're sitting there. Doctor comes in the room. He says, I got some bad news for you. You've got 1 year to live. What are you going to do? And we just sat there. And he went silent. And we just sat there and started writing. Right? Same situation. Doctor comes in. Says, I got bad news for you. It's terminal. You've got 1 hour. What are you going to miss?
I'm going home.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. That's it. Right? And to write out those things and to do that exercise. I mean, I was 21 years old at the time. Right? Incredibly impactful.
It changes the lens of which you look.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's awareness. Right?
Yep.
And that's, we've said it numerous times on the show. Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is pain.
Mm-hmm.
Right? To be able to know that you've got a year to live versus an hour to live is a very different experience.
Yep.
Right? And what are you going to do with that time?
Yep.
I will give a shout out to a good friend of mine who also has a podcast, John Vroman, the Front Row Dads. For anyone that is into family life and believes that they are a businessman with a family versus a family man with a business, right? Very different approach.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone who fucks with that, go check it out, Front Row Dads.
Right. I will issue this challenge to every single person that is watching this show. Do Evan's exercise that you just said. I'm serious. Write that down. What do you want to accomplish in the next year? And then think about if you had 1 hour left to live, what would you miss?
Mm-hmm.
And make that your priority.
That's it.
That's it.
People talk about like your family's a priority. Do they show up on your calendar? Are they really? Right? Like that's the truth. That's the truth of your life.
Well, and if you were to die tomorrow, like, you die on your way home tonight, right? Like that job that you were supposed to be at tomorrow, guess what? Somebody else is doing it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. That customer is going to find somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
100%.
It's funny. Every flight that I go on, because you don't have your self-service, right? And like, it's just love you.
Yeah.
Send it to the family every single time.
Always.
Yep.
Ben, this has been great.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, man.
We're going to sing Kumbaya now. So
Very,
we'll see you guys.
very deep at the end. I'm actually kind of glad that I'm almost kind of glad that we didn't ask that question at the beginning, because that was some very deep stuff, very powerful stuff. And it's not shared enough. I don't think.
I think mental health, and we can get off it right now.
Oh, we can keep going. We can keep going.
Mental health is a very serious thing, and I've never been more aware of it than I am right now. And I think that it's something that hasn't been talked about enough in our trade, especially since several of us have lost somebody in our families or even here in the HVAC community, you know what I mean, due to mental health.
Yep.
And in our culture, like, I don't know, how old are you?
37.
Why'd you hesitate?
Well, I wasn't sure if I wanted to. Wasn't sure if I wanted to say my age on the internet.
On the interweb.
The interwebs.
And how old are you?
35.
Okay, so we're roughly the same age. I'm 40. So in our generation and growing up in culture, it's just taught, man, you just suck that shit up and you be a man.
Ignore
an
an override. Right?
Yeah, you sweep it under the rug and you keep on trucking. And I've realized now that you can't do that, right? Because that only lasts for so long.
Right.
All that shit resurfaces at some point and it's toxic. And so you have to learn and understand how to deal with it, right? How to process it. And everybody processes things differently. And so you have to process that stuff. And that way, when you encounter something later in life that subconsciously triggers that, it's no factor, you know? And so, so mental health is definitely something that we should be talking about more. I did a podcast a while back with some chiropractors, and that was probably one of the best podcasts I had ever done because it was outside of HVAC, but it's so relatable because, dude, we just beat the shit out of our bodies in this industry, you know? And by the time you're 50 years old, you're just like, holy crap, dude, I can't even walk, you know? To go to a parts house and watch these old timers limp into the parts, right? Hey, I'm looking for whatever part, you know? It's like, they're hurting, man, you know?
And so their bodies.
And the mental side of things is no different than that.
Right.
So,
well,
there's a great idea for disruption.
For sure.
You want to completely impact your business, take care of your people in that way. Bring chiropractors in, bring massage therapists in, physiotherapists in. Right. Take care of your people.
And psychologists.
Too, get them healthy.
Like get them healthy, especially in the mental side of things. Like it's okay to not be okay.
Are you guys familiar with ketamine?
Absolutely.
Like recreational or?
I'm not saying I fuck with it. I'm just saying I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, no. So ketamine therapy is a real thing. I haven't personally done it, but my little sister is like a therapist for kids,
right?
And she sits through a lot of ketamine sessions with kids and stuff. And and it's what they're finding is like going into a therapy session while on ketamine allows you to like accelerate your therapeutic sessions, right? Where something might take you, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 months to accomplish, you can get that done in like 1 or 2 sessions, which is incredible.
It removes that filter.
Totally
MDMA, they're doing the same thing with that too. And even LSD. Right.
And even mushrooms for depression. Like, you know, there's lots out there. Yeah.
We're all just yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, we did start talking about it last night. Yes, we did.
Yeah. So no, I think that there's definitely a culture shift that needs to happen, right? Especially in our industry. And I think when we can again do it together, right, and we bring awareness to all this stuff, like we're removing the bullshit that culture puts in front of us, right? And you're peeling back the layers and go, look, none of this stuff really matters, right? Like money's cool, it's important, like you got to have it, like kind of like the air that you breathe, right? But it's not the most important thing, but money does get you freedom, right? And freedom is the ultimate happiness. So but yeah, at the end of the day, I think that we definitely need more awareness and encourage people to, dude, quit working 16, 17 hours a day. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You've just been doing it for 30 years.
Well, people wear it as a badge of honor. Like, oh, I work 70 hours or 80 hours or 100 hours. Like, no, how much time do you spend with your family?
Been there.
Wear that as a badge of honor.
Yeah. And I'm stupid for doing it.
Right.
So,
I love quitting at work at 4:30 in the afternoon and going and getting the kid and picking him up from daycare because he goes to bed at 6:30. Like I get 2 hours and like 3 hours with him. Right.
Over the last probably 6 months, I've tried to take Fridays off if possible. So working 4 days a week. And that doesn't always happen, right? Like sometimes it is what it is and I have to go to work. But if I can not do that and spend time at home doing stuff, and whether it be little projects or just working around the house or, you know, picking up my kids from school, like whatever, like I just want to be more present because my kids are growing up fast. I can't get that time back. You know, like money's money. I can always go make more money. You know, I can't make more time for my kids.
Right.
So you just got to utilize what you got, and you're only given so much. You're only allotted so much. So, yeah, this is part of, you know, the encouraging people in the trade to just level up, man, be better of all aspects, all aspects.
Have you seen the marble exercise with kids?
No.
So and I've heard of many dads that are doing this where they'll put 2 glass jars on the counter, right? And they'll fill it with marbles. I'm going to get the exact number here. They put 936 marbles in there because that's how many Saturdays they have with their kids before they're 18. And every weekend they take one out and put it in the other jar.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's your visual representation of how much time you have left with them,
I
because
think I'd cry every time I pulled a marble out of
dude,
it.
80% of the time that you spend with your kids is before they're 18 in their entire life.
Yep.
Like, that's it.
Yeah, I got to go, guys.
I'm playing early. Yeah.
It's a powerful thing. That's why I'm flying home today, right?
Right.
I'm not staying here for the rest of the weekend or anything like that. Like, I'm going home to my family.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I think when you become aware, you just start, your habits begin to change, right?
Yep.
So for me, like my habits have changed where like I go on bike rides with my kids now, you know, down trails, and we go hang out. And, you know, now my daughters are like, Dad, are we going on a bike ride today?
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
like it's like they're expecting it, you know?
Yeah.
And so, I'm just trying to kind of be more adventurous with them and take them on little camping trips and kayak trips and stuff like that. And, you just got to do it, man. It's
Right.
like you can come up with all the excuses you want, right? I think Cody Johnson came out with a song that says "Till You Can't,"
Mhm.
right? And it's just like you can say you're going to do it until you can't, right?
Right.
You know, yeah. So take that phone call from your mom when she calls. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
someday you're not going to be able to.
Yep.
Yeah, stuff
Well,
like that.
even like, I mean, my kid's 16 and a half months old, right? 17 months. So he still wants to get picked up. He just wants to get carried around. And some people are like, oh, my kid wants to get picked up again. I just want to carry him all over the place. What happens when they stop asking to get picked up? Now you're going to want to actually wish that you picked them up every time that you want to pick them up.
Yeah.
Think about this. There will come a day when you will pick your kid up and put them down, and you'll never pick them up again.
Mm-hmm.
Physically,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
metaphorically, you'll be
Metaphorically, you
you'll be
will always be
picking-
there. But that does happen,
Yep.
right? My parents no longer pick me up physically.
Yep.
They would crumble. Right?
It's actually funny when I hug my mom, I actually I give her a
You
bear
pick
hug
her up.
and I pick her up. And even she's 5'1", right? So
Right.
it's pretty easy. I stand up straight. It's easier on my back and pick her up, and she loves it, right?
Right.
And so it's kind of funny that it's reversed now.
Yep.
Well, I
Yep.
think, you know, as a child, you know, and even though like I'm 40, you guys are almost 40, as children, right, of our parents, like you don't realize the love that your parents have for you until you have your own kids.
Mhm.
And then you realize like, man, I love this little guy, right? And you're just like, I wonder if my parents love me this much.
Right.
You know?
Oh, my mom has fully disclosed that she loves my kid more than she loves me.
Oh yeah, something about grandkids. Something about I did tell my dad one time though, I was like, you know, sometimes I stop and I think, you know, man, I love my kids so much. Like it's just a different type of love. And I wonder if my parents love me this much. My dad laughs. He goes, we do,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So yeah, it's again, knowing and understanding are two completely different things. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, and that's the whole thing about the mindset, right? Like you have to shift the mindset because culture has taught us that this is just the way things are done, right? And we're just blinded to everything else, or that other way is stupid. I don't know why you would do that. You're an idiot, right? And it's just like, no, I'm just trying to buck society. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like not everything the world teaches you to do is a good thing, guys.
Yeah.
So there's a news flash for you, right?
Yeah, we got a saying in our house. It's called "fuck normal."
Yeah.
And the kids say it too. Like it's just what we do, right?
Right.
Like I don't want to be normal. We want to be weird. We want to be different. Dare to be different.
I saw a billboard one time. It said, "Be the eccentric relative that you wish you had." No, be the eccentric relative. What it said something like that, where like you had a relative who would be eccentric, right?
Right.
It'd be like, be the eccentric relative that you wish you had or that you did have, or something of that nature. But it was basically saying, don't be normal, right?
Right.
Like go out of your comfort zone, do things that you would normally not do, but like don't be too weird, I guess. Like
Right.
don't weird people out. Right?
Walking around on stilts at family
Yeah.
reunions.
Right.
Don't.
Don't be a creeper.
Well, and then we went to the Vegas event a couple weeks ago, and Ed Milet was there, and he talked about being that one person in your family that changes the rest of your family's history forever. He came from a family of alcoholics. His great grandfather died in a gutter outside the bar.
Ooh.
In a puddle. He drowned. And then his grandfather was an alcoholic, and then his dad was an alcoholic.
Isn't it funny how generational curses
Mhm.
just if you
Right.
don't intentionally break that,
Yeah.
you repeat the cycle, man.
Right. And then his dad said, no more. And he decided to get sober. And he asked him, like, well, are you going to stay sober forever? Are you never going to drink again? He's like, I can't promise you that, but I can promise that I'm not going to drink today.
Right.
I'm going to stay sober one more day. Right. And that power of one, and that was his most recent book, right? Was, what is it? The One Thing or something like that, or one more day, or one more power of one more, I think it is.
Something like that.
Yeah. And
It's on my
that's,
wish list.
yeah, the whole message of the book is it's just, there's one more. You're that close, right? Using like the gold miner analogies and all that
Sure.
kind of thing. But yeah, it was a powerful message when he got up there and talked about the relationship that he has with his dad.
Makes sense. I mean, one day at a time, dude. You can't focus on 3-5 days from now, you know?
Yep.
So no, I like it. I like it.
The power of one more.
The power of one more.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what it is. So,
It's good stuff, man.
Well,
Yeah.
we went way overtime.
oh, yeah, that happens.
An extra 15 minutes of fire. That was great.
Yeah, absolutely
As
amazing.
an unexpected turn, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
It's a great unexpected turn.
Absolutely.
So appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for coming on.
No worries. And until next time.
Cheers.
Well, that's a wrap on another episode of HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Before you go, two quick things. First off, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/HVAC Revealed. The other thing, if you took one tiny bit of information out of this show, no matter how big, no matter how small, all we ask is for you to introduce this to one person in your contacts list. That's it. That's all. One person. So they too can unleash the ultimate HVAC business.